Hi everyone, I'm Jonathan. Welcome to Star Wars Collected. May 4th and May 5th just happened. Some incredible collectibles came out, so I thought we'd hop in, go through some of my must-buys, my maybes, my probably nots, and the things I'm going to pass on. First up on my must-buy list, with May 4th, we were also treated with a new animated series, The Bad Batch, and we got to see a new collection of clones in the aftermath of Order 66, trying to figure out where their place is in the galaxy. As part of that, Sideshow released a 6-scale Echo and it announced a 6-scale Hunter. I think I'm going to probably end up with all of these guys. I was iffy on them in the Clone Wars. I thought they were fine, but I wasn't so sure they needed an entire animated series about them. But after watching that first episode, I'm very excited for the next one. I think I'm going to really like these guys, and I think they're going to look great on my shelves. Second thing I'm going to probably pick up is the Black Series Death Watch helmet. It's another repaint, I get that, but I had already purchased a prototype Boba Fett helmet to repaint as the Death Watch helmet, so if I can save myself the few hours that'll take and then repurpose that into some other cool Mandalorian paint job and design, then I'm probably going to go ahead and do that. I haven't pre-ordered it yet, but it's probably going to happen here the next day or so. Next one is the biggest one for me. Haven't pulled my trigger on it yet, but I think it's probably going to happen, is the Sideshow Premium Format Ahsoka Tano. Ahsoka is a favorite character of mine. I didn't watch the Clone Wars when it was coming out. I came to it much later, but I love the character. I love seeing her get sprinkled throughout all of the Star Wars shows right now. For a long time, you really couldn't get much Ahsoka stuff. I have a few things in my collection that I'll show you, but it's really cool to see her get the premium format treatment here. Undoubtedly when the Ahsoka series comes out, we'll probably get another one, so we'll see, but never bet against Ahsoka. My last must-buy is the Hot Toys Quill. This is a character that I thought was so interesting to take the Ugnaughts, which we never really thought much of. They were just sort of these scrappy guys in the bellows of Cloud City, and make this really interesting character to him. I already have a couple different Mandalorians from Hot Toys. I have IG-11 on order, so it only feels right to have Quill there as well. So I was super excited to see him. I'll be interested to see what his price tag ends up being. He's kind of a small guy. It'd be great if he was, below $200 or something like that. So we'll have to see. My next category here is the maybe yes, and we're going to start off with the Hot Toys Blurg and Mandalorian combination. I already have 2 Mandalorians. I don't think I need a 3rd Mandalorian unless he gets a massive repaint in season 3 or 4 or something like that. But I like that Blurg, and luckily for us, Hot Toys via Sideshow is selling a standalone Blurg. I'm thinking with the Quill that I just talked about and putting him on top of the Blurg would just give him so much more presence in a presentation on display. So I'm really thinking that adding the Blurg over adding the Hot Toys Blurg and Mandalorian is probably the way to go. Next one is the Sideshow General Grievous. This is maybe going to have to be one I pick up. Funny enough, Iron Studios also just released a model the other day, I think on May 4th, which is of smaller scale, very interesting pose, but I think it's going to go for about $100 more than what this Sideshow version is. Now, some of you will remember, of course, that Sideshow made one of these before. They've gone way up in price. I actually remember a few years ago looking at the premium format versions, they were going off and around $350, $400. Now you can't get them anywhere near that. They're usually up around $1,000. Funny enough, late last week, actually maybe even early this week, I finally pulled the trigger on a Kotobukiya version of that, the 1/7 scale, where his arms are all out. So am I regretting that purchase yet? I don't think so. We'll have to wait and see when it comes in. Of course, I'll share that with you guys when I get it, but this is really cool. I know a lot of people have been really wanting to see the Sideshow General Grievous come back into stock. Next up is the Hot Toys Mando on Swoop Bike. You're gonna see a pattern here. I don't think I need another Mandalorian. I could always resell the silver armor one that I have now, and then that wouldn't be a duplicate. That swoop bike is really cool though. What I'd love to see them do is actually sell that swoop bike separately, but they just released a Darth Maul with the blood fin, and they never released the blood fin separately. So I have a feeling the swoop bike is going to be kind of tied directly to it. So it's a maybe yes, but only if I would end up selling the current silver Mandalorian that I have. And the next one that's a maybe yes is the premium format Vader. I have a few premium format figures. I love them. The statues are incredible. Vader is one that gets done, once every 2 or 3 years. Is this the most definitive Vader I've ever seen? I don't think so. It's really great. If I could pick any of them, I would pick the Mythos one, which I think almost everyone would. It's so hard to get, and so hard to get one in good quality. But I don't know if I'm going to pick this one up or not, but I'm intrigued. Next category is the probably nots. This one's kind of weird. This is the Black Series Knight Brother. I don't really collect Black Series. I've got a couple of their ships because I love the scale of them. It's a cool way to kind of get a model without having to put a lot of work into it. But the Knight Brother, it's a really cool looking one. If I were to see this at a GameStop or a Target and it was a little less expensive, or I was just feeling that collector's itch that we all get where you haven't bought anything in a while, I might pick him up. He looks really cool. The next one and the one after that kind of go together. So they're the Hot Toys Artillery Stormtrooper and the Hot Toys Commander Stormtrooper. Do I want a Stormtrooper in my collection? Yes, I have a life-size version. I have the one from Rebels, which is not particularly my favorite sculpt, but I picked it up really cheap to kind of complete my collection. And anytime you try to buy a Stormtrooper off of eBay or something like that that's Hot Toys, it always goes for, north of $250. These are coming in less than that. The Artillery Trooper, it's fine. Nothing that's really gonna change my life. The Commander is very cool. I would actually probably take the pauldron off of him. There's just something about a clean Stormtrooper that looks pretty cool. But it just seems like we're gonna have another stab at this someday. Maybe I'll pick one up in a couple of years. Maybe they'll go down in price a little bit. Who knows? I'm kind of willing to gamble on those two. Next ones are the ones that I'm gonna pass on. And we're gonna start off with everything from Gentle Giant. I love Gentle Giant. I have a lot of things in my collection that are Gentle Giant. I think they offer some really cool pieces. They have a great price. You're usually able to pick them up for a lot less than Sideshow things. But I've learned my lesson with Gentle Giant to really never buy any of it new. It doesn't seem to hold its price or go up in price like Sideshow or Hot Toys items do. There's the occasional piece that does, but the market seems to be a lot more volatile in that. I've pre-ordered a couple things in the past, and by the time I get it, within a couple weeks, I see it on eBay for less than what I paid for it. And I've started to take advantage of that more recently by kind of just skipping their stuff. So some of the things they released though was Wrecker, two different versions of that, one with a swappable head, one without, Biggs, and a Jumbo Vader. I don't really collect that sort of Kenner throwback stuff anyway. So I think I'll probably just skip all the Gentle Giant releases for now. Next thing that's gonna be passed for me is the Sideshow, we'll call it the Mini Raincore. Sideshow made this incredible giant Raincore about a year ago, and it was available until recently, and it was on my wish list, and I thought about it, but when it ends up being the price of a mortgage payment, and I already have one. I have the Gentle Giant version that comes with the Raincore Keeper, and I love that piece. So I skipped on that one, even though if it were to come up at a similar to retail price or maybe a little bit less, I probably wouldn't be able to resist at this point. But part of the coolness of that statue was its scale. I mean, the thing's enormous. You see the box that comes with it, you've got to put like an addition on your house to store the box. So now that it's smaller, which is more accurate to studio scale, I just sort of lost its grandeur. So I think I would skip that one. I'm gonna stick with my Gentle Giant one, but it's really cool for anyone who really loved that sculpt, wanted to add a Raincore to their collection, but just couldn't, find the space or find the funds to buy the last version. The next thing is the Leia and Luke Legacy lightsabers from Disney Parks. These were supposedly available on shopdisney.com at around 9 or 10 o'clock a.m. Eastern time on May the 4th. I tried to get one, as far as at least look at one. I didn't know at the time that it was going to be a combination of the two. I already have the Rey Reforged lightsaber, so I didn't necessarily need that one. If the two back had been available to me, I could have picked that up and maybe resold my Reforged one that I already have. But I'm imagining that they will release the Leia lightsaber as an independent legacy lightsaber here very shortly. The next thing that's going to skip for me is the Hot Toys Grogu 6 scale. He is, of course, adorable. We all love that little guy, Baby Yoda, the child. But I already have two from the deluxe Hot Toys Mandalorian. I think this comes with a set of 3, and as cute as he looks all swaddled up in the blanket, I just can't see myself needing 5 Baby Yodas. So even though it's a cool opportunity, if you're purely a Baby Yoda fanatic, and who would blame you? You can pick one up independently without having to have that icky Mando with them or whatever you have. But it's going to be a skip for me. Next thing is Regal Robot's Holo Chest set. Regal Robot is a really cool company, and I really respect what they do. Their items are top tier, prop replicas, and often they partner with the original animators or sculptors and things like that, and they create some really unique pieces. I believe the signature Holo Chest set was just shy of $5,000 for all the figures, and to buy them independently, I think they range somewhere between $600 or $800 up to $1,300 for 2-pack sets. And while they are fantastic, I don't have an emotional connection that is that strong to that almost Easter egg quality of a moment to justify that. I love them. I think they're awesome. I think the Holo Chest set would be a great thing for a company like Gentle Giant to also do a version of, something where they could offer either individuals or 2-packs, and they can make them, $100 a pop, something like that, $150 a pop, and make it a little more accessible for everybody. So, mad respect to Regal Robot. I have a few of your pieces, but it's going to be a pass for me, dog. Next thing is, I did watch the Hasbro live stream, and of course, I mentioned earlier that I'm probably going to be a sucker and pick up that Death Watch helmet. But pretty much everything else from the vintage collection and the Black Series, I'm going to skip. I'm just not a collector of those. Like I said, I do pick up the ships from time to time, and they're cool scales and things like that. But the only thing that I wanted to note was I did think it was cool that the Black Series is adding the Flame Trooper from Jedi Fallen Order. I wish that companies like Hot Toys and Sideshow would dip more into the video games to give us figures and things like that, like Hasbro's been doing recently. Second to last one here, sort of, is going to be the Sideshow Anakin Mythos statue. I don't love it. It's okay. It just doesn't do it for me. Anakin's a fine character. The Clone Wars have done so much, I think, to redeem that character and endear him to me. I think the ObiWan one is amazing. I love the armor on it, the paint job on it. It's so cool how the lighting is done on him, and he just looks so regal and wonderful. I probably will skip on that one too, even though I think it's great, because I do have a Gentle Giant representation of him in that armor that I also think looks really cool. But the Anakin one, as much as I love him sort of standing on top of all the droids, it just doesn't have that pizzazz. It just doesn't scream Anakin mythos to me. There's nothing real mystical going on. What would have been cool to see is something maybe a little more with the Force involved, or something a little more foreshadowing of what he'd become. I'm not quite sure, but when you look at something like the Emperor one that's available right now, or the Asajj Ventress one that's available right now, it just doesn't quite measure up to me. I don't see the mythos to it. And the last two that I'm going to skip on, and I know a lot of people are thinking differently than me, are the Sideshow Clone Wars Anakin and Obi-Wan. I like the photorealistic stuff. I like to look at my props and items as if they are, almost like relics or museum pieces. So all of my helmets I try to get in the realistic style, not the animated style. I have a few animated type statues from the Clone Wars, mostly Gentle Giant pieces, but even then I would prefer them to be more lifelike and realistic. And I know a lot of people, when they release something like Rex or Cody, they have been wanting them to do it in that animated style, and Hot Toys at least has not been doing that. And then of course Sideshow had done a lot of Troopers before that, and they also had not been doing that. So this is great for people who wanted that animated style, have been wanting to add that to their collection so that it looks exactly like the cartoon that they love, or the animated series that they love, but it just doesn't do it for me. There's some cool Hot Toys ones from the same era that are out right now for Anakin and Obi-Wan. Some of them have the armor and things like that on it, so if I was going to pick up one of those, it'd probably be one of those. Alright guys, that concludes my list of must-haves, maybes, probably not, and I'm going to pass. Let me know what some of your favorite collectibles were, or news that came out yesterday. There's a lot of cool buzz going around right now in the Star Wars universe, a lot of things in production that we're seeing leaked photos of, and I'm not going to go into that here, but and of course the Bad Batch coming out this week with another episode later this week, so fantastic. Hope you guys enjoy this video. I'll talk to you later.